Blog Talk Radio.
All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Women of Golf. I'm Ted Odorico, and joining alongside is, of course, the survivor of last week's Junior Boot Camp, my co-host, LBJ Legends Tour player, and LBJ professional, Cindy Miller, and we are the hosts of the Women of Golf show. Good morning, Cindy, and welcome.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing very well, and I thought I'd throw that in there because I know you had actually back-to-back. You had the junior boot camp, and then you had the adults follow right in. So how did things round out?
You know what? Everybody was good. There was a few whines and a couple of witches that had to be tamed, but everybody did really, really well. And considering there was only a few bleeding hearts and a couple cries, but that's how we measure boot camp. But anyway, everybody got way, way, way better. Way better.
Well, that's fantastic, and as always, you and Alan do a fantastic job. All right, so let me very quickly just remind everybody, of course, we are live here on the show from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern. You can join us on blogtalkradio.com, and up in the search key, just type Women of Golf, or you can also hear us at iTunes, Stitcher, and now TuneIn.com a little bit later if you want. If for some reason you can't join us live, just go to any of those networks, type in Women of Golf, and you'll see the recorded versions there, and you can pick them up anytime. But thank you for those of you tuning in live this morning. If you want to speak to either Cindy or I, you're welcome to during the live broadcasts on Tuesday mornings. The number to call is area code 347-945-5855. And you can always reach out to Cindy or I about the show if you're interested in maybe some different topics or just some great conversation you want us to have on the show in addition to what we're already doing. Please feel free to reach out. Cindy's email is cindy@cindymillergolf.com, and mine is ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. We're going to have a great conversation this morning. We're going to be starting off with getting your golf season off to a great start in here in just a moment. And a little bit later on, we're going to be speaking with the Director of Business Development for Jofit Clothing and Accessories Company, Katie Miller. She'll be joining us a little bit later in the show. But so, Cindy, let me just say first off, thank you again for having three great young ladies join us last week on the show, Madeline, Lily, and Victoria from your junior boot camp. Three terrific young ladies. I'm sure they had a good time, and I know that they always learn something when they go, but maybe you could just give us a little bit of an update on some of the things that went on after we spoke, and then we'll get into our discussion.
Well, you know what? Really, golf boils down to acquiring a skill, being able to swing the club and hit the ball and hit all the shots, and then you have to be able to choose when to hit the shots and what situation and circumstance. So each day at boot camp, we make sure that we take people out on the golf course, and it's funny how the behavior styles, their personalities, which of course you know because we've done the Own Your Game series on the program here, but depending on your behavior style, you know, the high Ds want to go for everything and think they've got it, which I would be, fall into that pile and believe, oh, I got this, it's good, and then you screw it up and then you get mad or apprehensive, and the high Is don't pay attention to what they learned, and the S's are really steady and usually pull off what they're trying to do. And then the C's start thinking too much and can't do it. And then they get depressed and, you know, they get on suicide watch and they think it's all over and they can't acquire the skill. So, I mean, you have an emotional basket case situation on the golf course, which we have to remind them every time, now stop. You've got to mess this up before you learn how to do it right, which I think that's really the biggest value of going. It's learning a new skill and then making sure that you understand what you're doing and you have some triggers that help you pull it off, and then knowing when to choose to use it. And in the adult boot camp, I had 4 women, 3 from Buffalo, 1 from Maryland, and one of them has come 4 times, and the other one has come 3 times, and I had 2 newbies. And the funny thing is that the one who came 3 times from Buffalo really has improved so much, but she was so negative about her ability, and the one that was with her had come with her before and said, do you have any idea how much better you are? And she had to stop and say, you know what, you're right. I couldn't have done this last year or the year before. So I think that's what it's all about is, making better decisions, planning, preparing, and producing a golf shot when you need to, and blowing it off when you don't. Say, okay, next time, we're not out here for a tournament. That's why we go in February, because season hasn't started up here. But look at how much ahead you are because you have invested the time, money, and energy to do this, to really improve. So it was a huge success. I really love doing them. We've got another one coming up in April. We might even do one in the fall. So it was awesome. Thanks for asking.
Well done. Yeah, no problem. I just want to add just a quick comment, and then we'll get into our discussion, just about this particular young lady that joined you on the boot camp. A lot of times this goes to what we've talked about before, is sometimes we put expectations on ourselves that are sometimes out of reach. And when we don't reach those expectations, even though there has been improvement, we feel we've fallen short. And it kind of sounds to me, just from what you were describing, obviously I don't know her and not familiar with her circumstances, but it kind of sounds like maybe she had much higher expectations of herself, and when she didn't maybe reach those expectations, felt that she hadn't really improved. And it took somebody else to say, hey, you know what? Look at what you've done over these last several years, how much better you are. But in her mind, maybe she didn't see it that way until it was brought to her attention. What do you think about that?
Well, I agree. And the funny thing is she was paired with a woman who's a 16 handicap, and she's a 30. So,
right.
And I know there's a huge difference between a 16 and 30. So
sure is.
The other thing is I brought the super speed sticks and the radar detector. And the 16 handicap had trouble getting the radar detector to 62 miles an hour. And the 30 handicap got it to 84 miles an hour. So now you've got the 16 handicap wondering why this woman that's so much worse than her has faster club head speed, right?
Yeah.
And
right.
So she's digging her subconsciously. She goes, "Oh wow, is that the 84 mile an hour club head speed?" And the high club head speed woman who's a high C is like, "Why is she picking on me?" And you have to because she's jealous of you. That's why.
Right.
And if you understand that, so I walked up to the girl that's the 30 and said, "Do you have any idea how much potential you have? You should be breaking 90." And she was she's almost like an Eeyore going on the negative side, and it's like, stop doing that. You have no idea how good you are.
Yeah.
You have to realize that this other woman who's a 16 is jealous of you, and you can really get better. Now, being said, having said that, you need to stop and say, okay, what do I need to do to be able to get that? And she did come up to me, and she goes, when we get home, we got to make a plan. Absolutely agree. We do need to make a plan. But you need to know that there are major possibilities here. So that you're absolutely right. It's the expectations, but it's also the possibilities.
Right. Yeah. And I think a lot of times they get in their own way without realizing it. And sometimes it just takes that moment, if you will, of sort of revelation to say, aha, you know what? Yeah, I agree. I need to do some things here. And it's good that she stepped up and said, we need to get a game plan going here. And that's obviously going to help her. Very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. All right. So folks, we wanted to start off the season and offering some ways to really getting yourself and getting your golf season off to a great start. And in doing so, you might want to ask yourself some questions. is 2018 the year that you're going to improve your golf game? Is this the year that you're going to break 100 or maybe 90 or maybe 80 is your level that you're trying to break? And or is this the summer that you're going to get better? Is it important to start the season off right? And of course it is. I like to flip these around, Cindy, and not so much ask them as a question, but make them as a statement. Instead of saying, well, is this the year? I would rather somebody say, this is the year that I'm going to improve, or this is the year that I'm going to break 100. And obviously this is the summer of Sam, if you will, and I'm going to get better. Rather than asking it as a question, and I think there needs to be a positive inflection when you talk about things, because I think that way it almost gives you an authoritative power over whatever it is that you're trying to do. So although they're good questions to ask oneself, I think they're better to be rephrased as a statement. What do you think about that?
Well, yeah, if that's your goal, I think it's absolutely the way you have to make the statement rather than a question. You have to stop and say, what do I want? Why am I here? Again, I'm going to go back to boot camp. The woman with the 16 handicap wants to get it down to 10. Well, what do you need to do to be able to make that happen? So that's, sometimes you have to go through the pain to get the reward. And you have to say, yes,
right, that's
why I'm here, and this could be hard, and what's the road ahead look like? And then you have to commit to it. But if you're not really committed, then don't bother putting in the effort, because you're not going to get the result. But if you're committed, then yes,
right,
it has to be, this is the year I'm going to really drop my handicap by 3 shots,
Yep.
Whatever it is.
Yeah,
that
and that's
for.
what I mean.
So I totally agree.
Yeah, and I think it helps to reinforce that positive mental state, if you will, as opposed, not to say that the questions are negative, but I think just rephrasing them in a more positive format like that, I think can help you to sort of energize and get your mindset in the right direction. All right, so some of the steps that we're going to talk about here this morning very quickly, obviously we don't have time to get into a whole in-depth thing, but what we're going to do is these steps are going to give you a better chance of playing early in the year. And I like the fact that, as you pointed out a moment ago with your boot camp, the one woman had said something about, I'm glad that we're out here now ahead of the season, because obviously up north where you are, Cindy, it's not quite ready yet to get out there and hit the links. So now's the time to be doing that. And here's some things that we've put together that I think that if you do these before you get out, especially before you get your first round of golf in this year, assuming that you haven't traveled anywhere south or elsewhere that has a warmer climate. So this might be the first round coming up here in a month or so. These are some things that you can do when you get to the driving range or anywhere really, but especially to the driving range early in the season. And the first one, Cindy, of course, is stretching. This is a big one that I think, as a tour player and also as a teacher professional and a coach, working with so many amateurs especially, that this is a huge area that a lot of people miss the boat on, and that is stretching pre and post round. Talk a little bit about that, how important that is, and if there's anything that you try to do to get yourself loosened up before you play.
Yeah, I definitely stretch because I'm a stiff old lady. You definitely have to stretch. And you know what else? You really have to get in shape. And walking, and again,
Yes.
that I'm from the north, and I must tell you that going from sitting on my butt and giving lessons in a dome to going down to boot camp, where every day I had over 14,000 steps, and said, whoa, you just went 8 miles. It's like, oh, my body and my iWatch are saying, where'd you go? This is so different, So you really have to get in shape, and it's amazing how many calories you burn, and you feel better, and
Right.
you can swing better, and you can move better. So, yes, you absolutely have to do that to avoid injury, really.
Yeah, and there's a lot of ways that you can do it. One of the ways that I like to do it, obviously most people that have watched golf for any length of time are familiar with, maybe grabbing a couple of clubs and taking, swings, back and forth. And that's great for somebody that's maybe already loosened up a little bit. I don't recommend doing that right off the bat, especially for somebody that's been hibernating for a few months. you don't want to, start off with an injury. So what I like to do, Cindy, and this may be something that you do as well, I like to get out my driver because it's the longest club in the bag. And what I like to do is I like to get my feet a little bit further just because I'm getting up there in age too, so I don't have as much flexibility. But I like to get my feet a little wider than shoulder width, quite a bit wider actually. And I will put with both hands, I will put of course, the club head is onto the ground, club head is up in the air and the shaft is in the ground. And I will extend my arms out in front of me, and then I will actually bend over from the hips, not the waist, the hips, because I don't want to round my back. And I will lightly do some stretching just to get all of the muscles in my core and in my back stretched out. The one thing that I want to caution people about is don't bounce. You'll see people do this. They'll get out in that stretch, and they'll start sort of bouncing in the movement. That is the big, big no-no. Any golf fitness instructor or any fitness instructor will tell you this, that you don't want to bounce through a stretch or any sort of movement because that actually will put pressure on those muscles and strain on the muscles and are susceptible to injuries. But that's one that I like to do because that gets a lot of your core muscles loosened up a little bit, and then I might, as I mentioned, I might get into swinging a couple clubs. Is there anything that you like to do, Cindy, particularly that maybe helps you sort of stretch through or get ready?
Well, I put one leg over the other knee, and I try to sit to stretch out my lower back and my hamstrings and my glutes because I'm very stiff in the lower back. I do like what you just said from bending from the waist instead of rounding the back, but my lower back is really the tightest thing. And then, you know what else I'll do is I'll go over to the side of the sidewalk or the cart path, and I'll stretch my calves by putting my toe up and my heel down and push to stretch those out. That helps a lot. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And let me just add, and then we'll move on. It's very, very important to do this, especially before, even if you're going up to the range to hit some balls. This is something that you want to do beforehand. And I also recommend even post-round do a little bit as well, because you'd be surprised at how, even though you've loosened up a little bit, it's always good because as your muscles start to cool down, they'll start to tighten up a little bit. So sometimes it's good. It's the same as when you're exercising. As you said, Cindy, it's good to stretch out both ends. I want to move on to putting because we've got to make sure we get these in. Putting is something else. It's one of the the short game, of course, is one of the hardest areas of the game to get your feel back. Good putting is critical to scoring well. So we want to spend time. There's a lot of great drills that you can do. And I think if you visit cindymillergolf.com, you'll be able to get some of them or reach out to Cindy. She'll be able to tell you that as well. But Cindy, obviously putting is a huge thing. That's something that you worked a lot on down at the boot camps, correct?
Yeah, it is. It's not only alignment, it's stroke shape, it's distance control, and it's reading the green. And again, we all know that putting is almost half your shots, depending on your skill level. It's at least a third. And I don't know that we all take enough time to pay attention to putting and distance control. And the more you can practice distance control, the less three putts you'll have. So very, very, very important that you know how to line up. One of the best tools you can buy is a $3 metal yardstick, and you put your ball on top of the hole where it would hang, the hole they use to hang it in the store off of a display rack, and just practice putting. Number one, it helps you align the putter face square to the yardstick. And number two, it helps distance control. Number three, stroke shape, because the ball needs to roll straight down the yardstick. So see if you can get the ball to go straight down the yardstick and maybe try to do 5 or 10 or 20 in a row just to challenge yourself.
Yeah. And I couldn't agree more. And, one of the things that, that a lot of people really have a big difficulty with, Cindy, I think, is the speeds of the putt. They get up there, they make a few short putts and, they might get some in the cup on the practice green. But they don't really practice the speed, that they need to hit the stroke. So that's something that I think a lot of people, this is a great opportunity, again, before you get out in the golf course, whether you go to a indoor practice facility or a dome or what have you, If there's usually a putting green or surface there that you can work on, or even do it at home if you don't have time to go out there, you can do it on a carpet. But work on some of your distance putting, what we would call your lag putting, because more often than not, most people are not always going to hit their approach shots within 10 to 15 feet of the pin. So you're going to be probably faced with a 20, 30, maybe even a 50-yard putt. If you're practicing only 3-foot putts, Cindy, or even 5-foot putts all the time, and then suddenly, you get out in the course and half of your shots are, 20, 30, and 40 yards away, and you've never practiced that, you're looking at almost a certainty at 3 putts, because you're just not used to testing that speed. So that's something too as well. I think you would agree that people need to work on, is the distance and the speed of their putting.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and they want to get a feel for the distance. The next one, of course, is chipping. This is another area too that a lot of people need to spend more time on. Again, there's certain techniques that are critical. I mean, you're not hitting a full swing here, but also club selection can make a difference as well. One of the mistakes, Cindy, and I'm sure you see this with a lot of amateurs. Now, again, everybody's different, but they'll sort of pick one club and use that for all of their chipping, and it may not be applicable. I'll give you an example. If you're faced with a pin that's cut way in the back and you're in the front of the green, you're probably not going to want to chip with a wedge or even a 9-iron. You might want to scale down to a 7-iron, or some people might even use a 6-iron, because you want to get that ball on the green and rolling as much as possible, and you don't want it lofted up in the air. And conversely, if you've got a pin to the front of the green, you're not going to obviously use a 7 or a 6-iron. Then you're going to be looking at maybe a 9 or a wedge, or maybe even an 8-iron, depending on the distance, because in this particular scenario, you want to get a little bit more loft because you don't have a lot of distance on the green before you get to the pin. So technique is everything. What are your thoughts and suggestions on that, Cindy?
Well, I think when you walk up to the ball, or as you're walking up to the ball, you need to assess the situation. So I think one of the weaknesses of amateurs that don't play or compete a lot is they don't know what they should be thinking when. And once you hit a shot, you can relax and take a chill pill and go on a vacation mentally for, a couple minutes, put the club back in the bag, start walking down to the next shot. But then you've got to sit there and say, okay, where am I? And here's another thing. You got to watch where your ball goes. I mean, so many people have no idea where their ball goes because they don't watch where it ends up. And then everybody else has to help them find it, which is also contributing to slow play. So, number 1, watch where your ball goes. Number 2, take a short break. Number 3, as soon as your 2-minute break is over, start assessing the situation on what do I have coming up? And what do I need to go over? What are the obstacles? What are the circumstances? What's my lie look like? How far am I? What's the wind doing? What are my options? So I could go over here or I could go over there. And depending on your personality style, so a high C or an S probably should have a 70-30 chance of pulling off the shot. A high D or I might only want a 50-50 chance of pulling the shot off. So you got to stop and say, okay, do I want to go over the water or do I want to hit a pitching wedge and lay up over here on the side? And what's my next shot going to look like? So you're going to anticipate the next shot, because so many times people hit a great drive and then they make a bad decision and then they make an 8. Oh, there we go again.
Yep.
Well, you didn't really weigh it all out and figure out that, a 6 is really a good score for me on this hole. So that's what I would say, is you have to weigh the options before you make a decision, and then you have to commit to the decision that you make.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter where you are, in the on the hole, whether, like you said, whether it's a pitch shot or you're chipping around the green. It's crucial to assess the situation that you're dealing with so that you make an informed decision. And this sort of really gets into not the physical side of the game, but the mental side of the game. And I think you'd agree, Cindy, that more errors are made on the mental side of the game than the physical side. Everybody focuses so much on hitting the perfect stroke and hitting the best shot out there. And certainly you have to have a certain ability to be successful out in the golf course. But if you're spending, 70, 80% of your time, trying to hit the perfect golf shot out in the driving range, so that when you get to the first tee, and then you don't know what to do with this great, ball striking ability that you've got, it's not going to add up to much. It certainly will help, but it's not going to do the things that you need to do. The other thing too, Cindy, that again, we want to, go ahead.
Well, again, as far as the chipping, to go back to that, I don't think I really answered your question. People will just take, their lob wedge, let's say, and their putter with them when they miss the green. And one of the people at the boot camp said, wow, you got a whole armful. I go, well, I need to know that I have all the tools, because I don't know what shot I'm going to hit right now. I haven't made up my decision. I haven't made a decision on what shot I'm going to hit. So I bring everything because I don't want to walk back to the cart. And that's another thing. Plan ahead so that you can speed up play. And then if you've got a really long way to roll it, why would you hit a lob wedge and fly it a quarter of the way there and then 3-putt? So you just wasted at least one or two shots.
Right.
But I don't know that they're aware of it.
And I think this is what a lot of amateurs, you're exactly right, Cindy. I think this is what a lot of amateurs do out on the golf course, is they don't really assess the situation, and they don't prepare for it when they get out, on any given circumstance or hole. They tend to, just sort of assume, and they get up there and they don't have the right tool in hand, and they just sort of make a half-baked effort rather than going back and getting what they need or taking what they need with them. And the only way you're going to do that is obviously to assess it. Let's very quickly, so we can wrap up, because I know that we want to bring our guest on this morning. And that is, of course, the full swing. And as I mentioned, Cindy, we do want to make sure that we are proficient in our ball striking ability in that. We want to do things to be able to make it a little bit easier for us out there. Touch a little bit about that, what people should be working at when they go to the range, when they've got this opportunity before sort of preseason. What are some things that they should be working on to give them the best chance out there?
Well, again, there's a tip. If you go to my Facebook page, Cindy Miller, or just my Facebook personal page, I did a tip for the Legends Tour, and it's called the Fairway Finder. And I believe that you need to just sit on the range and make some half swings and hit the ball clean, airborne, and straight on purpose with a half swing. And if you can't do that, then your expectations of taking a full swing and hitting driver in the middle of the fairway are slim and none. So I suggest ball striking wise, you lower the expectation and you start out, basically it's loosening up like you're stretching, and do half swings and just say, is the ball getting in the air? And if you keep digging to China and you're not getting it airborne, then put a tee under it. And one of the girls at boot camp, I said, I want you to play with a tee. Really? In the fairway? That's cheating. I said, well, you know what? You're going to hit the ball better. And if you can't hit the ball good off of a tee, you can't expect to hit it off a tight lie. So, again, it's the expectation. So I would say, if you're up in the Northeast or wherever you happen to be, if the weather's not great and it's not really in season, get to where you can have a really comfortable fairway finder, half swing bunt down the middle of the fairway. You will lower your scores. And then you can creep into a bigger swing and you can raise your expectations. But until that point, just bunt.
Yeah, I agree. And so many so many amateur players focus on trying to hit that perfect drive, down the center of the fairway, and they just add to their anxiety when they're not able to accomplish that. And you even see even the professionals, watching the tournaments this weekend, both the PGA and the LPGA, we saw many examples of players out there hitting an iron off the tee, even on a par 4, even in a par 5 in some cases. I noticed a few times on the Honda Classic this weekend, some of the best players in the world were hitting irons off the tee because that's the smart play in that particular situation. So assessing that is crucial, and I think that, as you said, Cindy, even if we just sort of bunt it down the fairway until we sort of develop our skills and build up our confidence and then sort of work back. I think too many people spend too much time on areas of the game that are not going to produce very good results. So very quick recap for those of you that want to get off to the right start. first and foremost, start with some good stretching before you get out there. Work on your putting and all aspects of putting, not just your short putts. Practice your chipping as well, and then ultimately go and see your local professional to get some help if you need it on your full swing. And I think if you adhere to those basic principles, I think you're going to be well on your way to a very successful start to this season, and you're going to be able to much easily reach some of the goals that you've set for yourself. So do those things, and good luck, and I know that you'll have no problems. All right, Cindy, we've got a very special guest this morning, Katie Miller, and she's the Director of Business Development for Jofit Clothing and Accessories. And let me just tell you a little bit about Katie, and then we'll bring her on and join the conversation. She's an international four-ball champion in 2016, 17, and 18, medalist stroke play for the 2017 U.S. Women's Mid-Amateur. She's played in all U.S. four balls with four different partners. She's the Pennsylvania Women's Amateur Champion in 07, 15, and 17. And also she is the Pennsylvania Women's Golf Association board member. And she played college golf, Cindy, for the University of North Carolina. So without further hesitation, let's bring on our very special guest this morning, Katie Miller.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Honored. Appreciate it.
Well, Katie, let me just very quickly before we get into talking about Jofit, let's talk. I know you picked up the last few minutes of the conversation that Cindy and I were having while you were waiting to come on. You're obviously a player, so you can talk very, very comfortably from a player standpoint. What are your thoughts as we get into this new season? Obviously, I'm down here in Florida, and Cindy's up north. So up north, there's still a lot of folks that are sort of hibernating for the winter still a little bit. What would you suggest for some of the golfers that want to get a good jump start to the season?
Well, I mean, it's pretty much exactly what I'm doing right now too. So I'm in Pittsburgh, actually in Oakmont. So I always try to go to an indoor facility, maybe with a golf simulator, or if it's warm enough, which warm enough right now, I think, Sydney, to us would be about 45 degrees. So it was nice here the last couple of days, hitting about 50. So even an outdoor range with heaters. I mean, I just like to get in a few swings, just working on good tempo. Nothing crazy. I mean, you can even hit a bucket full of 9-irons, really. And just to be comfortable and making contact, feel the center of the club face. That's just always my goal to get started. And then you can always putt on carpet. I mean, I actually have a little putting area in the house that I do have some turf, some Southwest greens, but I will definitely use that. And that's so important because then once you get out on the golf course, your first 3-footer doesn't really feel that foreign to you anymore. So just the little things. And if you can work on those fundamentals and just good balance with some 9-irons during the cold days, you'll get off to a good start.
Right. And I think it's important, as Cindy pointed out too, Katie, that you want to set some realistic goals for yourself. I think sometimes a lot of people put very unrealistic expectations early on in the year, and then obviously when they're not reaching those, become very distraught and discouraged, and ultimately end up, not playing maybe throughout the year or kind of give up on themselves. So what would you suggest in that area? What do you try to do yourself, and what do you try to encourage others that are out there playing, whether it's with you or people that you've noticed? What do you try to say to them in order to sort of keep themselves real on the golf course?
Yeah, for myself and what I share with others, I just try to make good swings. So at the end, there were a couple of junior girls that I had an opportunity to teach to the first tee, and I would tell her, at the end of the day, when you text me your score, I don't want you to tell me your score. I just want you to tell me how many good swings you made. And to me, that meant, was I comfortable with the club that I chose? I know you guys were talking about that, using a club that you wouldn't have had you had your entire bag with you and being able to commit to that club. So did you pick a club that you were comfortable with, and did you make a good balanced swing? And if you did, I want put a check mark on the scorecard, and I just want to know how many check marks you have. I don't care what the score is at the end of the day, and I think that can really help set expectations. We're also result oriented, and I think when we do that in this game, it just that's kind of when you get in your own way. and it's helped me a lot just to focus on good golf swings, not necessarily the score at the end of the hole, 9 holes, or the end of the round.
Katie,
Right.
and
well said. I think. Yeah. Go ahead.
Let me just ask you, because I believe that you're absolutely right, and I don't think kids understand that, depending on their parents, because I think their parents are so result oriented, and you can shoot 70 and hit it terrible, and you can shoot 70 and hit it great, but it's how do you feel about how you played. And I think that they lose sight of that, and I think that's so sad. And the funny thing is, you'll hear a player on TV who maybe doesn't win and says, you know what, I'm really getting close. I've been working on this for the last month or year, and we're not quite there yet, but I'm getting close. So you can, a month ahead of that, watch out, because that person's going to win, because they know what they're working on, and they're very comfortable and confident. So, again, you've hit the nail right on the head, and that's exactly what, no matter who you are or how old you are, you need to kind of say, you know what, I really felt comfortable. And I don't really care what I shoot, because I felt good about what I was doing, and I paid attention, and I was present for each shot. So I totally agree. You're right on the money.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? My 4-ball partner, we just had a good couple of days at the International 4-ball a few weeks ago, and Lauren Greenleaf and I partnered up for that. I played with a different partner 2 years before, and but she just had she just became a mom, so now us at Mid-Am Golf, some life at jobs and family gets in the way sometimes. But Lauren and I had a great week, and we're going to be playing together at the U.S. 4-ball. But the first day, we both played very solid. I mean, we both hit the ball really well, had some birdie opportunities. We both made 2 bogeys on the day and happened to do it on the same hole. So we only shot 1 under as a team. And it was just kind of like, well, that was pretty good. Like, I don't know, we can't be mad. We kind of both looked at each other like, yeah, the score wasn't as good as it needs to be to win that event. And we were both happy with our ball striking. We gave ourselves some opportunities. It was just, all right, let's do the same thing again tomorrow, and it's got to be, we've got to have a better score for sure. And we did. We gave the same opportunities, and we had an awesome day. I mean, we shot 8 under the second day, and quite honestly, it didn't feel that much different. And that's what was crazy about it. I think it just kind of solidifies that sometimes if you're just sticking with making good swings and giving yourself opportunities, it'll come together. So we didn't get too upset about the results and let everything else kind of just take care of itself. It's really tough to do. I think once you do it on the golf course, you can experience it again. But that's way more difficult than I think we're making it sound right now.
Well, you're absolutely right.
Right,
and
exactly.
Again, I think you have to learn from your mistakes as well. And you sit back and you evaluate and you go, you know what, we really both played pretty good. We just happened to bogey the same hole. So great attitude. And then how many did you win by?
We ended up winning by 5, actually.
Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah, we were in third, we were in third after that first day. Yeah.
And you can't. I'm going to say to you that I think that part of that is because of your attitude. You weren't panicking. You didn't say, "Oh, we played terrible." It's like, stop, get over it.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I think us, golfers and perfectionists, they don't mix, and you kind of get in your own. You get in your own way sometimes, and I think that quite honestly has probably been the most improved part of my game personally.
Good for you.
Well said. Cindy, go ahead and let's start off. We want to talk about Jofit.
Okay, so I want to know the story of how it started, because I absolutely love your clothing line. And I'm not saying that it's for old people, because you're young and you love it and you look great in it, but I love it and I look okay in it. I did order a couple things off the clearance thing, and I just got them, and I tried them on this morning. I'm like, oh, my God, they make me look thinner. I love this. So how did this Jofit brand get started? Tell us.
Yeah, that comment you just made right out of Joanne's mouth. So Jofit, the name of the company, does have a strong meaning behind it. Jo is the founder and CEO of the company. Her name is Joanne. She was a high school phys ed teacher and decided that she was not happy with what was available in the market, so she wanted to make clothing for golf, tennis, fitness and everyday wear. So she on a whim and a very, very strong determination. She wanted to start her company, so she booked a flight to China, Thailand, started learning about fabric mills, factories, and just got the company off the ground. It was amazing. And then the fit part, it's about the way the clothing fits your body. So during the fittings, it's pretty cool to watch the technical design team and Joanne work on each piece, because Jo will put it on. She wants you to look thinner in all of her every different piece. So exactly, Cindy, what you just said. And the motto, too, is we have something for every body, not just everybody. So from anything from the Bermuda length shorts, shorter skirts for some of the younger girls and a few of the girls who play on tour are wearing, and any length sleeve for a top that you can imagine, including some UV full sleeve protection shirts as well. So it's pretty cool. You can really find anything you could possibly want, players of any age and size.
That is so cool. And I had no idea that was the case, because it's funny, certain styles look terrible on people and certain styles look great. And I've tried on Jofit stuff and I'm like, no, that's not me. And then I've tried on Jofit stuff and I'm like, oh my God, this is definitely me. And I just happened to order 3 pieces that came in the mail while I was in Florida, and I'm like, oh, this is money. So thank you to Jo.
Yeah, it's amazing. She really does such a great job. And absolutely every aspect of it, the skirts and the little shorts that are underneath the skirt, from the leg opening on that, it's very specific, so it's not tight and uncomfortable, and it's not riding up when you walk. And we have wide waistbands that provides a lot of comfort throughout your day of, if you're sweaty and walking and you just want to play well. So the last thing you should be worried about, oh my gosh, I remember these college uniforms we had. I think I spent more time pulling my shorts down than I did focusing on my yardage book. So it was
right.
You definitely don't want anything like that to get in your way out there. You have enough stuff going on. So she's done a fantastic job.
Where does she create the technical aspects? Are they created here and then made in China?
So it's a little bit of everything. There are a few factories. We have factories in China and fabric mills in Thailand. It's one of the most technologically advanced mills that you could source fabric from. And then we have a few factories. They're looking around sometimes for different factories, always trying to stay ahead of the curve with where items are produced. But they're from a number of different factories right now. And the team, though, the company is based out of Philadelphia, just outside of Philadelphia. So that's where the entire crew is, the warehouse, all of the designers. And, it's amazing. They'll work on something and Jo will put a shirt on and she wants it to, you want to look tall and lean. So there are, darts in the back of the shirt. There's always a scooped hem, so a little longer in the front and the back and kind of scoops up on your side. So it makes your legs look longer, gives you a very elongated midsection. And she'll have the clothing on and she's like, no, this doesn't look right. And she'll be looking in the mirror. And then that's where the designers from a technical side come in. And they'll pin it and discuss, if we take an inch here, how does that affect the rest of the garment, where, different. It's pretty amazing. It is pretty amazing. They do such a great job. And then a fashion collection releases every other month. So you'll see different pattern and color stories and really, really fun elements. And, of course, we always have the core product that is available all the time and that merchandises in or, matches the collection that's going to launch here at the beginning of March is it's like a chambray kind of performance material. So it almost looks like a little bit of denim, and there's a cute little pocket on the left chest, and we have some orange and a very bright navy and actually a little bow print and seersucker, a performance seersucker. So I'm really excited about that. It's kind of bringing me back to my college days in North Carolina where everybody wore the seersucker bottoms. So I'm kind of excited to get those going here in March.
And that's the other thing. The fabric, how when you put on a pair of pajamas or comfortable clothes and you go, oh, this is so comfortable. I could wear this all the time. That's exactly what this fabric feels like. Anything that I've ever gotten just feels like, oh, I just want to wear this. So kudos to her for taking the extra time. I don't think anybody does that. And makes, such detail about really making sure that someone's comfortable.
Oh yeah, and she definitely does. And what's really cool about it too is obviously the office staff, the reps, and the whole crew. We obviously wear everything as well. So if someone, we'll give her feedback, and if we love something, she keeps it going. If someone tells her, we didn't really like this, or they'll take another look at it and make sure that it's something that they want to have in the line and to move forward with. So it's very cool that Jo is open to all the suggestions, and it's pretty amazing that your CEO is in the middle of the room actually wearing each garment herself and taking suggestions from the team that she built around her. So it is pretty cool.
That's awesome. Tell us about your job. What's your responsibility? Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, my responsibility?
Go ahead, Katie.
Cindy, were you asking about my responsibility?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So how my relationship started with Jofit, it really was when the company started, and it's about 11 years ago now. So I feel like I met Jo about 9 or 10 years ago, and I actually just started out as a model for them. So I had some experience just sort of random, like a couple bridal catalogs when I was in college, and it wasn't necessarily that I was a trained model, but I'm comfortable in golf clothes. So it was pretty easy. We have a few other athletes, Kinsey models all the time. She was a volleyball player. So we just have a good time together, and just, whether we're walking down a fairway or, sometimes we'll hit shots, but not even. We definitely keep the photo shoots to with the fashion elements in mind. So we just try to do that, but on a golf course. And that's really how I met Jofit. And after that, the relationship just kind of kept growing. And at one point I up until recently, did some local sales in the Western Pennsylvania area. And then my new position as a business development, we are very excited to be in the merchandise tent at the Women's U.S. Open this year, and we were at the Solheim Cup tent last year, and it's really growing. So a lot of those events, take a lot of extra special attention. It's an honor to be in a USGA tent, but we definitely take the extra time to go through the logo approval process down to like thread colors and just the circle around the logo. It has to be right. So we're working through all of that and making sure that everything is 100% ready to go for the tent in Shoal Creek. And then just looking for some of those opportunities. So with the USGA, that has actually moved on to usgashop.com, and Jofit will be on there with the men's, with the Shinnecock logo this summer as well. So couple very cool opportunities, and that's where my role is right now.
That's great.
Very cool. Katie, let me ask you, with respect to the line itself, obviously there's a lot of competition out there. How do you, as a company, try to price yourself in such a way that the line becomes affordable for virtually anybody? Because there's a lot of clothing out there that promote as luxury brands and that sort of thing, and then there's some of your lower. Do you try to sort of stay in the middle so that it can be considered a luxury brand for some, but for others it's still affordable, that anybody could get access? Because that's a big concern for a lot of shoppers in today's economy, is being able to afford the clothing. How do you guys try to find that balance?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. That's definitely always a thought. And what's funny is I don't know that is a focus. We really, really focus on a quality product. The garments are very high quality. I mean, double seamed hem seams, double stitching on those. So you can tell that if a buyer sees that who's been in the industry for a long time, they know that the quality is very high. And once a woman wears it, she'll become a fan. So there's always a need, I think, for something that you love and will be comfortable in. So for me, if I buy a pair of a shirt and it's, I don't know, on the sale rack and it cost whatever, it's $25 and it's not really comfortable and I don't like, so I wore it one time and it cost me $25 to wear the shirt one time. If you have,
Right.
a lot of our Jofit shirts will kind of fall 70, high 70s, low 80s, around there. But if I wear that shirt and I love it and I wear it 10 times this month, then I've gotten $8 a wear instead of $25 a wear for my one shirt that I didn't love. So I think we definitely see the need for a fantastic fit and a fantastic quality. So it's still in I think a very, very reasonable price range and in line with a lot of other brands that are in golf shops. But I do think that ladies fall in love with the fit once they wear it.
And I think
Let me ask
hit
you
the
something.
nail
One
on
other.
the head, because I just have to make one comment and then I'll zip it, Ted. I believe it's also a fact of trust. You know what I mean? I'm willing to pay the price if I know that this stuff is going to fit. And that's what's funny, because you told me, I set up an account and I want to sell the stuff. And I thought, let me just make sure, because I didn't have time to get to the PGA Superstore and they didn't have the product at Orange County National, which they should. And I thought, I just want to test it out, because I don't want to spend all this money on stuff that just doesn't feel right and you don't wear, because I've got all kinds of clothes hanging in my closet that have tags on them. And that's not, a good thing. So I think it's the fact that once women trust that, this, I can count on this, it's going to fit, and I'm going to look good, I'm in.
I completely agree with you. That's why, definitely. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that's extremely important point as well, Cindy. I agree that, people have to have a confidence level in today's economy, in today's market, that they want to know that whomever they're dealing with is providing good quality and value for what they're, because we're all trying to be a little bit more money conscious these days when we make purchases. So it's very important that comes across in your brand. What I was going to ask you, Katie, was this. I watched some of the video that from the website and just some YouTube video that I've seen over the last little while about your product. And what I found very interesting, which you don't see a lot in the men's collections out there, is that your wear is very, and I guess the easiest way to put it is you can cross it over into sort of multifaceted. I'll give you an example. A lot of the men's clothing that are made in golf or even tennis, that's exactly what it's specific. You can't really wear it anywhere else. I mean, you can, but people automatically associate it with a specific sport. What I noticed about the clothing line at Jofit is these are pieces that can be worn outside of that sports or fitness area that can sort of blend in with everyday living. And was that done intentionally so that it's not just a brand for golf or tennis or fitness, but something that women can wear just about anywhere and not look like they're dressed to go and play sports?
Oh, absolutely, because that's how, Cindy can speak to this too, but that's how women these days, that's how we live our lives. So, I'll get up in the morning and it's like, geez, I have a couple errands to run. Then I'm going to go play, had my plans to play golf with my friends. We're going to eat some lunch after, but then after that I have to go pick up the kids or go to meet with another family for the kids to hang out, whatever it is. But I can wear that same outfit the whole day. I don't have to worry about changing and bringing something else with me and where's the locker room, and you can look good in that clothing and be comfortable throughout your day. So I think that that's really cool, and great layering pieces. So you can have on your skirt and polo, and then I pull on one of our long sleeve mocks with the zip that up, and I can walk into lunch or dinner and look perfectly put together to meet friends for a meal. So I really just think that's kind of how or women live their life now, and it perfectly fits in with that.
Yeah, and that's something that I've noticed, as I said, with a lot of the men's clothing lines is we don't, and obviously I know men think differently when it comes to fashion than women do, but that's something that I've noticed that they haven't quite mastered yet. And, from what I've seen in your line, as I said, looking at some of the different outfits and that on the website and on some of the other social media platforms that you're promoting, is that women can take outfits that they can wear on or off the golf course and not always look like they've just been to the golf course. And I think that's a great asset for the company to have. Share with, if you wouldn't mind, Katie, very quickly as we get close to wrapping up, where people can go to get more information or where they can go to purchase, and talk about maybe some of the brick and mortar locations. Is that something that's expanding, or is more of it leading to the online area?
Well, we currently have 2 Jofit brick and mortar locations, one in Jupiter, Florida, in Harborside Place, and then the other one in California, and you can get those exact addresses and directions through jofit.com. You can shop on the website, right, but we also encourage all of our customers and great experience with Jofit, because really we started in green grass locations, so country clubs, golf clubs throughout the country. So if you do play at a club, I would ask them if they're carrying Jofit, and you can obviously try it on. They can special order anything for you, and it's really fun, as you were saying at the beginning of the show, to work with your local PGA professional to get started for the season. They can help you out with your looking good too in some Jofit. So definitely have those close relationships with private clubs as well, and teaching facilities, even like Cindy was speaking about herself possibly carrying some more of the brand, and that's a great way to try it and learn and get to know the brand for yourself.
Very good. And the website is jofit.com, correct?
Jofit.com. And some PGA Tour Superstores as well, and then we're in a few select Golf Galaxies.
Very good. Perfect. Cindy, any final thoughts or comments before we wrap up?
No, I just thank you, Katie. It's so nice to meet you, and I'm so grateful to develop a relationship with you and Jofit, and God bless you. Keep playing great.
Thanks so much. Appreciate you guys having me this morning.
Have a great day.
All right. Thank you very much.
You too, guys.
All right. Thanks, Katie.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. That was our very special guest, Katie Miller, the Director of Business Development from Jofit Clothing and Accessories. Again, you can go to Jofit, that's JOFIT.com, to learn more about their product line. It is a great line, Cindy, for sure. We've obviously had the honor of having a few others on here, and certainly they're great in their own rights, but I must admit that Jofit is a very, very well put together line, and it's very easy to see why they have become very successful in their business. We're going to be back, or actually I'm going to be back. Cindy, I don't believe you're going to be here next week, but I will be back here on the Women of Golf show. Cindy, I believe you're off doing some shoots with the Golf Channel. Is that correct, next week, I think?
I am. I'm filming tips with the Golf Channel in Florida.
So back to Florida, back to the sunny south. All right, well, Cindy, we want to thank all of the listeners for tuning in faithfully each and every week. We want to thank you for your support of the show. And don't forget to feel free to reach out to Cindy or I at cindy@cindymillergolf.com, or my email is ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. If you have any questions or comments about the show, or maybe you've got an interesting topic that you'd like for us to discuss, or maybe you know somebody in the golf industry that we haven't had on here yet that you think would make for an interesting guest, by all means, feel free to reach out. Or if you just want to chat with us, you're welcome to do so as well. We'd love to hear from you. Always appreciate your input. Don't forget to go to blogtalkradio.com/Women of Golf. If you missed the live broadcast this morning, you can go there and scroll down to the on-demand section, or you can also go to iTunes.com, Stitcher.com, and now TuneIn.com and listen to it as a podcast. just, again, type in Women of Golf in the search key there, and that will take you on all three of those social media platforms that you can listen to the show in its entirety. But on behalf of Cindy Miller and I'm Ted Odorico, and we will see you next week right here on the Women of Golf Show. God bless everybody. Thanks, Cindy.
Thanks, Ted. Bye-bye.